Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to our debate grading today for General English. Congratulations for stay, and I hope that we will get through it. Introduce myself. So let me tell you my name. My name is Nana, as your judges, timekeeper, and also moderator. And I hope you guys will say your argument greatly. So, any further ado, I will tell you the motion today is the House believes that single-sex education is better for everyone. Don't forget to say your parameter. I'm so sorry, my battery is run out. So, may I take a few seconds to get charged? Maybe that's from me. So I will give you the time for telling your argument. Government first. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the argument. The first speaker from the government, you can say your word. Start for now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning all. I hope you are always healthy and happy. I'm Dinara Safina from the Pro team. Please allow me to present an argument why I support single-sex school and consider it is good for education. Yeah, we know the existence of single-sex school is very controversial, and here I support the existence of single-sex school. One of my reasons is that single-sex school can increase self-confidence, especially for girls. I will tell you a little bit about my experience in elementary school, grades 1, 2, and 3, junior high school, and senior high school, so that we can get an illustration. I have often encountered a situation when female students asked male students to go away when they were going to do individual sport assessments. There was discomfort when female students became the center of attention during sports. It can happen because female students were embarrassed by their body curves or feared that their abilities are below average. And that's how I feel too. But it was different when I was in elementary school, grades 4, 5, and 6, because at that time, female students and male students were separated. Our feelings as female students were different. We were more confident when we exercised. We also became more and more tried until we got some progress. Same feeling can occur in other subjects such as mathematics, science, and others. And it doesn't just happen to women. Men can feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. For example, when there is a cooking activity, female students usually be better than male students. Male students can be inferior in this regard. Something like that will disturb the ability and creativity of students. An article from the Talko web written by Britt Gersberg says that there is research showing that single-sex schools have many advantages for students. On the whole, students educated in single-sex schools have more self-confidence and perform better in their academic. Self-confidence arises because students are less likely to feel the pressure of gender roles and learn to pursue their interests. They don't care about social assumptions about whether something is acceptable for their biological sex. When students are among peers who are physically similar to them, self-confidence increases. They don't feel as though they have to prove something about their biological gender. Students in single-sex school are also more willing to take risks because they are not afraid to fall in front of the opposite sex. With self-confidence, students can also have the potential to lead. In single-sex school, discomfort can be handled because they know and understand each other better. In single-sex school, boys and girls don't have to worry about the impression of the other gender. Students can be themselves in class and they can speak openly and honestly. So, if single-sex school can make students more confident, why not? That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dinara. Congratulations, you left 3.2 seconds. Wait for me, I will write it first. First, no POI or POC. So then I will give the change for the first speaker of affirmation. The time is yours. First speaker, are you ready? Who is the first speaker of affirmation? First speaker. Okay, your voice is not here. I couldn't hear your voice. I couldn't hear it. First speaker. Who is the first speaker?
Okay, good morning all. On this occasion, I as the counter team will present my opinion regarding the motion in this debate. Normally, single-sex schools are good for education. Regarding my opinion about single-sex school, I don't agree with the statement because after being investigated by school, single sex has a negative impact that is negative impact of single sex school. The American Council on Education reports that there is less academic disparity between male and female students overall and a far greater achievement between students in different racial, ethnic, and socio-economic groups. With poor and minority students, children faring poorly. Bringing that academic costs, they argue deserve more attention than does that the gender divide. Single-sex education is illegal and discriminatory. Also that the American Civil Liberties Union in May 2008, the American Civil Liberties Union filed suit in federal court, arguing that Recreated Country Middle School practice of offering single-sex classroom in their public school is illegal and discriminatory. The school does not require any child to attend a single-sex class. Yet the suit argues that the practice violates several state and federal laws, including Title IX and the Equal Educational Opportunities Act. Furthermore, one study in London said that males who attend homogeneous schools tend to experience problems with health and socialization. The result of the research is that men who are educated in homogeneous schools tend to divorce faster at the age of 40 years. They also report more frequent illness and depression at the age. According to research in London, students also report being more lazy and bored when studying at school. According to another study by Pennsylvania State University, separating the sex might not be the best way for children to learn and develop themselves. In the study revealed, children who go to special school of one sex do not become more educated than children in public school. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Riris, for your argument. You left 4.18 minutes. Wait a second, give me a moment. Okay, now for the second speaker from the government, you can say a word.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Alisa Ekastiani from Pro Group. Regarding my opinion about single-sex schools, I agree with that statement. I agree with my friend's opinion that this house believes that single-sex schools are good for education. It can increase self-confidence. In this case, this self confidence is also influenced by the different learning styles between men and women. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that generally men and women have the same position, but the fact is that it doesn't always work that way. This is evidenced by the role of Ika.
It's okay. Just continue. Wait. You can continue. It's okay.
Okay, saya ulangi lagi.
No, you don't have to repeat it. You can just continue it. It's okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that generally men and women have the same position, but the fact is that it doesn't always work that way. This is evidenced by the role of women as a complement, while men become the most prioritized. Some people think that men have a better advantage than women. In fact, the learning styles practiced by men and women are very different, so they cannot be generalized. As an example, in a structured environment, generally women tend to make decisions based on the emotions they feel, while men tend to make decisions with reason or rationality. It can also be seen from the learning process carried out. Several studies have stated that men tend to be less active than women in participating in the learning process. Men usually understand better if they are explained repeatedly, while women are more likely to find out things they don't understand in learning. These are some quite significant differences in learning styles between boys and girls, where it is most likely male and female students. Another fact that supports this statement is the result of several studies which say that men are more interested in learning by looking at things, whether in the form of pictures or diagrams, and then performance demonstrations or videos. Meanwhile, women find it easier to learn by moving, touching, or taking action. In this case, men tend to have a visual learning style, while women have a kinesthetic learning style. Another surprising fact is that several studies have shown that girls learn better when the classroom temperature is warmer, while boys learn better in cooler classrooms. To overcome the differences in learning style, it is highly recommended to apply single-sex schools in order to further optimize the abilities and potential of individuals with their respective learning styles. Men who study with one gender will be more confident and optimal in creating creativity. They can make the best way to study with their same gender friends. Likewise, with women, if they study with one gender, they will find the most suitable way and according to the style that they think it is right to do. That's my opinion. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lista, for your opinion. That is great argument. You left for the 12 to 12 minutes translation. Give me a moment. Okay, second speaker. Second speaker from the government is already tell us the word, and then I will let the affirmation. Second speaker from the affirmation say your word. So the time is yours.
Okay, good morning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am Amahda as the second speaker from the team opposition. There are 3 points here that we don't fully believe that single-sex school. Firstly, not all educators or teachers are trained to teaching gender-specific. It will be a problem if they can do that learning style. I'd like to mention that few educators are formally trained to use gender-specific teaching technique. However, it's no secret that experienced teachers usually understand gender difference and are adept at accommodating a variety of learning styles within their mixed gender classrooms. Gender differences in learning aren't the same across the board. They vary along a continuum of what is considered normal. For a sensitive boy or an assertive girl, the teaching style promoted by advocates a single education could be ineffective at best or detrimental at worst. For example, a sensitive boy might be intimidated by a teacher who gets in his face and speaks loudly, believing that's what boys want and need to learn. Students in single-sex classrooms will one day live and work side by side with members of the opposite sex. Educating students in single-sex school limits their opportunity to work cooperatively and coexist successfully with members of the opposite sex. Second statement is between males and female students are better learn together to improve their skill to make learning become more effective. I should also mention that other students have found that women in fact are not any better off in single-sex institutions. 1988 survey from the American Association of University Women, a long-time advocate of single-sex education, admitted the girls from sex school did not show any academic improvement. That they are more inclined towards maths and science is questionable importance to society as a whole. As the report noted, by a girls both thrive when the elements of good education are three elements like smaller classes, focused academic curriculum, and gender-fair instruction. This can all be present in co-educational schools. The Paul, in her research, made the mistake of not controlling for other characteristics, namely socioeconomic privilege of those at elite women's college. And 3. Boys and girls are good influence on each other. Engineering good behavior and maturity, academic competition between them is also make better performance at school. In addition to that, in fact, boys and girls are a good influence on each other, engineering good behavior and maturity. Any negative effects of co-educational schools have been explained away by studies as the result of other factors such as classroom size, economic disparity, and cultural difference. Furthermore, the separation of boys and girls only serves to embrace sexual objectification, for they exist for each other only as dates rather than the classmates they would be in a co-educational environment, allowing them into the same educational environment in part to permit them to distract each other is a welcome social development as well as a beneficial learning curve. So, single-sex schools are not good for education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your argument. Congratulations, Mahda, you left 2.41 minutes. Give me a moment to write it. Okay, second speaker is done from the affirmation, and now this is the time for the, how can I say? I forget the mechanism. So sorry. I'd like you, as a third speaker from the government, you can say your word directly. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Fana, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Safina Ulul Firdaus. Now I will present my argument about single-sex school. I agree with the single-sex school because male and female have the ability to capture and think patterns in understanding learning. This led to the provision of service that are only based on assumption and are not justified procedurally. Absorption of learning is the ability or strength in terms of learning to do something. To act in sourcing the material being taught. So, what is meant by the difference in student learning? Absorption is the ability or strength to do something. To act in absorbing lessons by each student. The students themselves consist of various learning absorption, which include the ability to remember, think, feel, will, and so on. With the absorption of learning, students can get new insight about thinking patterns. It's expected the student can think broadly about the benefit of knowledge absorbed during lessons through students' knowledge of learning absorption. Well, the mindset is a set assumption, methods, or ideas held by one or more people or a group of people. In the study mentioned, most women are faster in absorbing knowledge because females' brains are more balanced than males. This is advanced by the difference in the density of nerve cells or neurons in an area of the brain. Result research shows the apart from a matter of size. Certain areas of the female brain rise in neurons that with the male brain. It should be noted that more the number of neurons in an area, the stronger brain function there. Apart from that, if it's a male faster at speaking, reading, and really experience learning disorders when compared to boys, the expert estimate it has something to do with females' ability to use both split the hemispheres when reading or doing verbal activities other. Whereas male only used one of the hemispheres, then the female's brain is also sharper, durable, and selective. This is This is advanced in Thomas Crock research that females' vision, hearing, and memory are sharper than female. With this difference, both teachers and students will experience difficulties in teaching and learning activities. The teacher will feel confused which methods he will use so that all his students can understand the learning simultaneously and evenly. Meanwhile, for students, if the teacher applies learning method for female, then male will have difficulty in capturing learning. Meanwhile, if the teacher provides learning with method for male, female will find it difficult to understand. This is why I agree with the existence of this single-sex school because it will make it easier for students to absorb learning from what is conveyed by the teacher, and the teacher will not find it difficult to apply the learning methods that will be used. Okay, this is my argument. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Congratulations, Ivana. You left 1.52 minutes. That is great. So give me a moment to write it down.
Maju kan enak.
Wait. Okay, ladies. then we will give the time for the third speaker of affirmation to say the word. So, the third speaker from the affirmation, this is your time.
Thank you for the chance to speak. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiara Amalia Zain. I am the third speaker from the opposition side. I would like to make some statement from the motion of single-sex school are better for education, but from our side, we don't fully believe that single-sex schools are effective. From our perspective, we believe that everyone develops at slightly different speeds. However, few would advocate everyone should be homeschooled. Ultimately, the curriculum determines the mode of teaching, not the gender composition of the class, and the curriculum can be molded to suit both girls and boys. Faster and slower learners and those with underdeveloped hand motor control. If elementary school boys are being forced to repeat grades, that is a manifestation of difficulties in learning and as relevant to their proximity to girls in the classroom as it is to the higher achieving boys. Furthermore, the sociologist Cynthia Epstein argues that in fact there is no consensus among psychologists as the existence of the psychological or cognitive difference between the sex. Finally, as Michael Bronsky notes, the benefits of a same-sex school or single-sex schools cannot be applied across the educational sphere. For the private schools where the tests take place admit either only high achieving pupils or self-select by expelling poorly performing or misbehaving students. I also would like to mention that I'm not saying I'm totally disagree with single-sex school, but from my perspective, single-sex school is not always effective for student learning. I have some point why I disagree with the opinion that single-sex school are better for education, such as there is a general attraction between children of opposite sexes once they are onset of puberty. Studies show that children enrolled in single-gender schools either tend to become more aggressive towards the opposite sex as adults or tend to be ignorant about the opposite gender and are said to be poor social performers. I am kind of worried that there will be sexual orientation problems like sexual perversion because as I said earlier, children who are about to become teenagers usually go through puberty and can be marked by like each other, the opposite sex, since they enrolled to school where their gender is the same. I'm pretty concerned that problems like LGBT, lesbian, gay, etc. will occur. I'm not saying that I hate that community, but everyone knows that thing is still illegal in our country. And the last point that we can convey that single-sex school geared toward at-risk low-income youth are ineffective and promote racial separation. Young Latin American and Black men are identified as the most at-risk demographic in the nation. They have the highest suspension and expulsion rates, the lowest graduation and college matriculation rates, and in many cities, the dropout rates for Latin American and Black men are over 50%. These are not encouraging statistics, but how do the education boards measure and counselors respond? Segregate these boys into single-sex education or single-sex school institutions, ostensibly to remove outside and potentially distracting influences. What they are doing instead is encouraging a quarantine effect which does nothing to encourage the boys' educational drive, but perpetuates the notion that these boys spell trouble and affirms society desire to steer clear. In 1998, there was only one single sex public school in United States. Today, there are over 300 fully segregated public or charter schools. Most of these new schools were specifically created for Black and Latin American boys to save them by separating them from the rest of society. What's more, there is no substantive research to back any of these institutions' practice. And I think it's enough for me. Thank you for the attention. I will return to the moderator. Thank you.
Wow, congratulations, Tiara. You left 1:38 minutes. So give me a moment to write it down. Wow, ladies, and now we actually hear the argument for all the members. We are all great, and this is the time to us to hear the conclusion from each side. Oh, wait a second. No. There is still one. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, now the conclusion. The conclusion will said by the government first. So the government, you can say your word for the conclusion. This is 5 minutes. So the time is yours.
Thank you. I'm Dinara Safina from the government. And in conclusion, we can conclude that both systems work well in certain situations. But we, government, believe that single-sex schools are good for education because can decrease distraction between boy and the girl. Single-sex education also increases a feeling more confident to the teenager or adolescent. Single-sex schools want appropriate to create healthy competition because in the class there is only one gender. When we talk about competitive single-sex, the frequency their own gender when teaching co-educational classes. For example, male teacher can undermine the progress and confidence of the students refusing to choose them to answer questions. Found that gender based in a major problem is all level of schooling. Found that gender based a major problem at all level of schooling are setting girls are put by sexual harassment and neglected by sexist teacher will pay more attention to boys. As a result, those tend to fall behind their male counterparts. And the last, federal law support the option of the single-sex education. In 2006, Education Secretary Margaret Pilling passed the federal regulation allowing schools to offer single-sex classrooms and schools, as long as such options are completely voluntary. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dwita, for your argument, for your conclusion. You left 2.56 minutes. Congratulations. Wait. Okay, now is the turn for the affirmation to say a word, a conclusion word. So, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I am Tiara from the opposition side. I would like to conclude Okay, all the arguments from the affirmation team and the opposition team have been presented. The debate has gone smoothly, and after hearing the arguments from different sides, we can conclude some points from the opposition team that we are believe that single-sex schools are not always effective in the learning methods because first, not all educators or teachers are trained to teaching gender specific. It will be a problem if they can't do that learning style. Okay. Points number 2, between males and female students are better learn together to improve their skill to make learning become more effective. Then points 3 is boys and girls are good influence on each other. Engendering good behavior and maturity, academic competition between them is also make better performance at school. Point 4 is single-sex school can develop sexual orientation problem like sexual perversion such as LGBT, lesbi, gay, etc. And the last point of the conclusion that single-sex school targeting risk low-income youth are ineffective and promote racial segregation. I think that's it. The conclusion from opposition team. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiara, for the conclusion. You left 3:22 minutes. Congratulations. Wait. Okay, ladies, you all have been told us about your argument. You are all amazing, and you guys make me confused which side that will win, because you give argument really strong. But for the argument, to be honest, the opposition give a few things that can break the foundation, but that is still 50-50. Wait, this is kind of hard for me. Wow, you guys have really few different score, to be honest. I mean, like, the difference is about 0.2 point. Like, this is kind of wow. Okay, the winner is from opposition. And give applause for us. Give applause, guys.